Hello everyone and welcome back. You're watching Alteryx tutorials. I am Mark Thompson with Watermark Data. In today's session we're going to be talking about weekly challenge number 121. In this challenge you have a text file that has all of the information about the 2018 World Cup games. And we want to take this mess of a text file that you see over here on the left and we want to turn it into a nice, pretty concise schedule of what is the date of the game, who's playing, the city, the stadium, and the capacity. Let's go ahead and get into it. And like always, well, one of the things that I recommend when you start to have a lot of processes is that you put a comment field around it and you turn it into kind of a group. As you can see, we've got a clean initial text, and then we've got the stadiums, the capacity, the location, and we break it into organize the games and the dates, and then we combine them back and we output the schedule. Going through the steps, as already shown, we've got this ugly looking text file. So the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to break out, I look at the pattern down here, and I see that I've got this digit with a period, and I use a regex and I say, hey, give me this when you see a digit, right? And now what you get is this regex out 1 where it's telling you the record number. Great. Now let's go ahead and use that. I do a multi-formula, and if it's null, then I capture the record above it. Really what it is, hey, if this isn't null, give me the record. If this is null, give me the record above this, row -1 record group. And what that does nicely is breaks this out into 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, etc. Now, one of the things you'll notice as you look at this particular set of data, if you go all the way down to the bottom, and this text file has got 12, but they've only got a couple of records, and then they've got this field where it turns into 2014. So real quick, I throw in a formula that says, hey, you know what? If it equals 2014, then it's 12. Otherwise, leave it alone. And all that's doing is it's taking these ones down here at the bottom and saying, hey, if it's 2014, turn it into 12. Now I'm going to filter out a whole bunch of stuff that I don't need, a whole bunch of these records in here that are, if it contains a stadium, if this right here contains a stadium in regex 2, and this is the field that we're talking about. If it says stadium, capacity, games, or arena, great. We don't want to keep it if it says images or background or read more. And then we'll get a filter out of that down to 36 records. We're now going to sort this, well, this is the select tool, and we're going to take and we're going to get rid of, you've been watching my tutorials, you know that I like to clean things up. So let's go ahead and get rid of those first 2 columns that we don't need. Next, we're going to throw on a multi-row formula here again, and we're going to take, we've now got these records, and they're grouped by those 1s, 2s, and we're going to do them in order. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And what that's going to allow is it's going to say, hey, let's go ahead and break these into our groups. These are the 1s, those are all the stadiums. And all the 2s, that's the capacity. And then the false out of that would be the 3s, and that is going to equal your games and dates. So we put this 1, 2, 3 on here to break it out into the stadium, the capacity, and the games. And that's what these 2 filters do here. Continuing along, we've now broken out the stadiums. Let's go ahead and clean that up, make that pretty. Here are the stadium and the city. This is the regex on it if you want to take a look at it. We're going to break the first part into a column. Then we break the second part, and then it's got a space, and we use that. So we're looking at this. And then the last part is, of course, the city. And that breaks us out into stadium and city. And do I necessarily need those? No. Did I need to put them in between their parentheses? No, I didn't. Doing a regex again. The regex that's coming in is the regex 2 right here, which is the stadium and capacity. And we want to break it into its element. Could I have used a text to field here and used a colon as a delimiter? Yep, I definitely could have. Again, clean it up. What do I want? I want the record group, and then I want the capacity. What's the record, and what's the capacity? I bring them back together, and now we have, and I join here on record group, and so now we have a stadium, a city, and a capacity. That's what that output looks like. Coming down to here, our third filter, now we've got the games. And so we're going to trim this out and say games. Right? We don't want, as we look at it coming in, if we look at the data coming in, I got to get this anchor just right. See how it says games here? Well, we don't need that. So let's split that out with a semicolon, and we're going to split it into rows. That turns every single row into a separate, or every single game, excuse me, into a separate row. Then we're going to take, and we're going to split that between, we're going to split that into 2 as well. Output on that. Now we see the game and the date. We do a little bit of a cleanup on the date. And we do, this is kind of a cheating version, but there could have been a couple of ways I did this. I happen to do this and say, hey, regex out and split it based on that closed paren, and that turns it into a date. Let's clean it up, and we only need what's the record group, what's the game, and what's the date. This was another way to do it. Coming out of this one, I had these. I used a regex in this case, which broke out the game and the date. And then I did a cleanup on those fields and said, hey, get rid of the extra punctuation and the leading trails, and we turn it into this, which is effectively the same thing as that. So coming out of this field, we've got the record group, the game, and the date, and then we join them back together again with the record group, only we uncheck the record group because we no longer really need that. And now we have all of these all lined up with a date, a game, a city, stadium, and a capacity. And we've got all of the games. All right, this has been Mark Thompson. You've been watching Alteryx tutorials. Today we went through weekly challenge number 121. If you like what you saw, please hit like, please hit share, and of course, we always welcome your comments. Until next time, have a great day.